when you're exhausted and all you can do is lay in bed and stare at your phone.
I don't think you've ever experienced that. All you can do is lay in bed and stare at your phone. Most people have a job. Most people have to go outside. Most people don't have the option to just stay in bed and stare at their phone. I'm fascinated by this bookshelf. I don't think he's read any of these. All right. I want to see this. Graham Plattner's copying my fireside chat format, and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it one bit. This is content theft. So we're covering this. I think just right at the outset. Why is this so wide? It is just wide. Okay, weird. Right at the outset, I really don't like this weird thing that leftists seem to be doing, where it's like, hey guys, we on the left need to win back young men. We need to give like a pathway for young men to feel super strong and masculine, and we basically need a left-wing Andrew Tate. We don't. Stop doing that. That's not your job. If you're trying to outcompete the right, they've already got Andrew Tate. They've got those people. You're not going to compete with them. This is weird. It's weird. It's not actually the function of a left-wing movement or of a Democratic Party to tell you how to, navigate dating life. That's not what it's about. That's weird that you would think that to begin with. Or is that Segalian? Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate it. Like why? I also don't believe this. I don't believe this whole thing. Look, he's got the dawn of everything up here on the top here. See, I recognize that. On his mantle right up here. He's got the dawn of everything. He's got some other stuff on top. Look at me, fellow lefties. It's weird. It's very weird. I don't know who wants to vote for Graham Plattner as a father figure. This is a weird thing to do. Hey guys, we need to win back. What do you mean you need to win back young men? You never had young men. Young men don't find Democrats sexy. Left-wing women don't find Democrats sexy. Everything about you guys, you are the most flaccid, cynical, transparent shills on the face of the earth. You will cry about humanity and then support the unrestrained slaughter of civilians in Palestine. Nobody buys it. This does not win. The only people who this wins over are morons who legitimately think that there is a way to market Democrats as right-wing light. You alienate your left-wing base, you make everybody else apathetic, and the right wing already has masculine role model gurus to turn to. They don't need you. You're just a weaker option. Why would they care? Like it's so silly. It's so silly.
Hey, my name is Graham Plattner.
Hi, Graham.
I want to talk to you today about masculinity.
I want to talk to you today about masculinity. Here I have my books in my fireplace and my pot.
It comes up on the campaign trail a lot.
Why don't your policies come up on the campaign trail? Why is masculinity coming up on the campaign trail? Graham, that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Like you're running for office. I don't think you're running to lead a youth group.
I think primarily because of how I sound and how I look and the kind of life that I live. A lot of people kind of think that I'm some sort of avatar that's going to be able to explain the current problem we have. Now, there's been a whole conversation over the past couple of years, especially...
Why is there... there is no problem, actually. There is no problem. The problem is you recognize that there's a whole lot of people and a whole lot of money to be made and attention to be had and votes to be gained by appealing to reactionaries who hate women. Pretending like, hey guys, look, here's what we need to do to win, okay guys? This is what we need to do to beat Trump. We need to convince young men that they can instantiate all of the properties of people who hate women but in an LGBTQ plus way, I guess, except minus those last few letters because they're out now. They were cool in 2015. That's last year.
In the Democratic Party about how do we get back young men? How do we re-engage with young men who've been taken in by these stories and these myths, frankly, about what masculinity is supposed to be?
Didn't you go to Iraq after protesting the war because it was cool? I'm sorry, you're not the guy.
Taken in by resentment and grievance. Taken in by this idea that they deserve something in this society and they're not getting it, and that they're supposed to blame.
I mean, they are. It's just not women. They do deserve something from their society. Among other things, they deserve some kind of society. Among other things, they deserve to have some kind of return on the taxes they pay. They deserve to have something they can invest in as a community and to not just be thrown to the wolves. And for that to be valorized as like, that's freedom, apparently. That's what they're owed. They're just not owed women. What are you talking about?
Blame women, or they're supposed to blame the media, supposed to blame...
They should blame the media. The media is a big part of this. The media is incidentally a major part of the right wing's success.
Other people, instead of telling them that it is that grievance, it is that alienation that is driving their feelings of insecurity and sadness.
What you didn't point to anything, Graham. You're just saying alienation now. But what? I'm sorry. You're a rich ex-Constellus mercenary. Who are you?
It is driving their loneliness.
What is their loneliness and alienation is driving their loneliness and alienation, friends?
There's all this talk about, do we need a left-wing Joe Rogan? Or is some Democratic political consultant going to spend $50 million to come up with a media plan on how to approach young men? And honestly, it's all nonsense. It's true nonsense.
Good.
What we need to do is we need to re-engage with the idea that masculinity is based around support.
No. You need to investigate the idea that masculinity is a myth. That masculinity is a way of normalizing the enslavement of different people in mutually supporting ways, where you have some people valorizing the fact that they are cannon fodder and labor, and the other side is birthing machines and housekeepers. That's what you challenge. You're just a gayer reactionary. That's not powerful.
Masculinity is based around protecting those who are weaker.
No, it's not. Masculinity is about exhibiting strength, and if in the absence of an opportunity to exhibit strength into the defense of your tribe, it's exhibiting strength in hurting random people around you, because if you don't have the capacity, you don't have the ability or the opportunity to demonstrate it, you don't have it.
Protecting those who aren't...
It's like that poor giant guy who's in prison for tax fraud, getting beaten up by every single new person who goes into the jail so they can show how tough they are.
Protecting those who don't have the same privilege in this society that many men like me do. We can't just talk about it, though.
Brooks says that masculinity is for adults. Brooks has painted nails.
Have to model it, and we also have to show...
Let's be clear for a second. Brooks is a very masculine sounding dude with painted nails and occasionally pink hair. What does that masculine sounding part mean? Like think about it for a second. You're going to sit down young men and say, guys, look, listen, okay? Listen, Andrew Tate, he's leading you down a dark path. There is a way to be penisy too, but also to be a good guy. That's what that means. Why do you play 2 seconds of a clip, pause the clip, and insert 3 minutes of commentary? Would you like me to just steal his content? This is a stream where I react to things. If I just let him talk and I didn't comment, I would just be streaming someone else's content. I've shown you the title of the video. You can go watch it. Not the most intellectually charitable commentary. Am I misrepresenting something that he's saying? If you have an objection, I always take call-ins, by the way. You can link to the Discord. There's a link in the description. People who have an issue with my coverage can just call in.
Politics that is willing to both forgive, but also that is requiring accountability. You can't just go through life being
like, here's the part that bothers me. Why do you have this bearded guy in front of a fireplace saying this? Like, you want to like, how about you have a woman saying, "Hey, we need accountability and we need people to be responsible," and stuff like that. Why? Because this whole aesthetic, it's echoing the master of the house thing that people like Andrew Tate sell. And that thing that you're selling is the valorization of the subjugation of women. Stop doing this. Present an actual alternative, not just a weaker version of what the right wing is selling or giving away for free, actually.
Awful to other people. And then one day, just perform that you feel bad about it and move on. There needs to be some form of accountability. But we also need to be very open to the idea that as we watch people become accountable, publicly have to talk about things that they've said or done, that after that, we need to be open.
Okay. The ex-Constellus / rebrand Blackwater mercenary is out here with the bold message that we need to be forgiving of people's pasts. I cannot... I imagine my shock that this is Graham Plattner's message. By the way, if Graham Plattner is the person to vote for, you vote for him, because the alternative is an actual fascist, by the way. That is the world you live in. That's the reality of a two-party state. But still, like, it's a little obvious. It's a little obvious, no? It's a little obvious. Like, I would respect it more if he just was quiet about it and he just ran on policy, because this is not convincing anybody. No one's running out to go vote for Plattner because he's a man's man, because he's a Democrat. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. He's a Democrat who has a Totenkopf tattoo, who waffled about it because he didn't have the balls to fess up to the fact that he was kind of a Blackwater mercenary for a little while. I'm sorry. Sorry. Like, that's not it. That's not the strategy, dude.
And compassionate and empathetic to welcome them with open arms into a society in which we are not trying to all be split and divided.
Like, he's talking about himself is the weird part, right? Like, the pivot here is essentially like, hey, listen, guys, we all need to work together and be forgiving and not hold people's pasts against them after he's in hot water because he has a literal fascist tattoo on his body because he was part of a mercenary group and he lied about not knowing what it was. And then it was later found out that he had social media posts that demonstrated he knows what it is. And it's like, here's the thing. Does that mean he's actually a secret Nazi? No. Does that mean he hasn't changed his opinion on stuff? No. It does mean he's a deeply untrustworthy person. And it is comical that he's making this statement in a pretty transparent attempt to shame people into not shaming him for working for Blackwater. And not just working for Blackwater after a deployment in Iraq, working for Blackwater after a deployment in Iraq, which is on record, his childhood activism against the war in Iraq because it was immoral. So he knew what he was doing. He just valued the lives of other human beings less than not flipping burgers for a living. Understandable. Forgivable? Different question.
But a society in which we support and love each other. I know this kind of sounds like wishy-washy hippie talk, but it's not. This is how we build a world that builds everyone up. This is how we build a system.
Why is not a non-Blackwater veteran not running in your place then? Like, Why does it have to be you, buddy?
that gives every American the chance to live to their fullest potential.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
not
have
true.
that right now. One of the reasons people feel so lonely and alienated, they live lives that are
Once again, like, to be clear, you are in a two-party system. You don't have options. You vote strategically to get the people who are limiting your capacity, actually destroying your capacity, maybe for good. We'll see. We'll see if the midterms happen. You are dealing with another party that is destroying your capacity to have any input in the political action of the most powerful nation on earth at all. So these people suck. You vote for them. Okay, I'm sorry. People are like, what do you mean we have to vote for them? I thought this was a democracy. It's not. You're not in a democracy. It's called a democracy. You know what else is called a democracy? North Korea. It's not a democracy. You vote strategically. You got two choices. Two choices to actually put somebody into a position of power. One of them wants you dead. One of them wants your vote and then wants other people dead. But you then have actual leverage after the fact. That's what you got. Okay? Because if you don't do that, then you don't have anything at all. Everything gets pushed back. Everything rolls backwards. There's no inexorable law of history that says that progress always goes forward. Everything breaks down. And you're before square one. So you vote for these people even though they suck. Because if you don't, you lost. Full stop. Like there is no winning strategy here. And anybody who tells you that there is, anybody tells you like, look guys, I'd vote for them, but they don't represent me. Of course they don't represent you. You're in a two-party system. There's how many millions and millions of people that they are supposed to, of course they don't represent you. They represent the part of your population that has a lot of money, enough money to win votes, which includes, by the way, the state of Israel, which America has been throwing money into in truckloads, resulting in a whole lot of feedback where the condition now of getting into office is playing ball with a whole lot of stuff, or at the very least, they are convinced it is. So that's it. You are not in a democracy. Wake up and smell the roses.
defined by struggle and work. They don't have time. They spend...
Won't Plattner just become another Fetterman upon entering the Senate? Very possibly. Very possibly. I'm not going to argue that he won't. I've argued that he will. I had arguments on this channel. I strongly suspect he will. But at this point, okay, I'd rather have a Fetterman than have a Republican who is going to do all of the stuff the Democrats are doing, but then will also kill American citizens. Right? Because here's the problem. If you have a breakdown of democracy in America, that doesn't mean that therefore America stops feeding its immense capital into other countries, which then do horrible things to other people. Actually, it seems to be the opposite. Trump has a whole council of psychopaths from other countries that are now divvying up the spoils of Gaza amongst themselves. Is there any difference between Fetterman and a Republican at this point? Yeah, Fetterman regards non-American lives as disposable. Republicans regard all lives as disposable. And in order for you to have any say in politics and any say in what your state does, you need to have somebody in power that you have some leverage over. And you have no capacity to even assert leverage over a political party that's fine with you being shot and killed by its thug caste, that it's spilled it, that it's sent as a horde into your cities. That's ICE. Like, you are not in a democracy. You are fundamentally not in a democracy. Pretending like there is some power in just not playing the game when they are counting on you to not play the game to win is childish. It's childish. You are farther away. You are farther away from being able to exert influence on the Democrats. The farther away the Democrats are from winning power at this juncture. Like, I'm sorry. People, for example, who didn't vote because of Gaza. I understand this. I think it's disgusting what the Democrats did with respect to Gaza, with respect to Palestine, with respect to the West Bank. I think it's still disgusting that they're still paying lip service to it. You have less ability to exert pressure on the American government to stop funding the genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza under Trump than you did under Biden. You have nothing right now. It could get worse. It could get worse. You could have nothing right now, and they could then start salting the earth to make it impossible for anything to emerge. And that is indeed the plan right now. When Trump's talking about nationalizing the election, that is what he is talking about. He is talking about asserting control over the voting apparatus of the country so that you cannot win election against right-wingers. That's where you're at. It's also, by the way, one of the reasons why you shouldn't just be looking to political parties in order to win elections and in order to change things. You need to create actual power on the ground, and you do that by talking to other people, making connections with other people, becoming something meaningful in each other's lives. Why? Because that builds community networks that can then actually exert real pressure at the level of towns, at the level of cities, at the level of states. You need to go outside and talk to people. The Democratic Party is right-wing light for a reason. It's right-wing light because that's a winning media strategy in a world with no communities. Unions are dead because there's no communities. They were able to be established once upon a time when they weren't being beaten with pepper spray. They were being beaten with machine guns. They were able to function because they had a community basis.
All this time in front of screens, and often it's because
bless you for telling us on YouTube. Bless you for telling us this on YouTube, dear God.
End of the day, when you're exhausted and all you can do is lay in bed and stare at your phone.
I don't think you've ever experienced that. All you can do is lay in bed and stare at your phone. Most people have a job. Most people have to go outside. Most people don't have the option to just stay in bed and stare at their phone. I'm fascinated by this bookshelf. I don't think he's read any of these.
If we give people better support, if we give people the ability...
That looks almost like, I want to say it's either Margaret Mitchell's The War That Ended Peace, but it also kind of resembles the Orenda, which is a weird choice.
...to have jobs that pay a living wage. Jobs where hard work results in a good life. Because right now, a lot of people work...
See, there we go. It's fascism light. Jobs where hard work results in a good life. Okay, work will set you free. Like, how about a fair distribution of the wealth of your society? Using the awesome power of our technology and ability to organize our labor so that people can be free from labor. Because I don't think you've been in the mines recently, buddy. I think you are a perfect demonstration of the fact that labor can actually be channeled in such a way as it is diminished across bodies. However, you like a situation where some people get all of the requirement to perform labor taken away from them, and some people become burdened with it and therefore have to have it justified to them as a part of their identity. Which is what masculinity, quote unquote, is actually about. It's about rationalizing through a myth of some kind of nobility in the enslavement of people with particular sexes in particular ways. People with longer dangly bits, more often than not, in the mines and in the battlefield, and people with the shorter dangly bits in the kitchen, birthing children, and so on. Is that a fake wood burning stove? It looks real.
Work really hard, but
it might. I don't think it might be fake. I don't think it's fake. Although it's 2026, it could be AI for all we know. Oh, they also dangle. Some of them do indeed dangle.
And it's in that struggle that you find the alienation. It's in that struggle that you find the loneliness. We often decry the lack of community these days. Everybody agrees.
Whereas the exhaust is probably in the wall there. So some wood stoves have a pipe that goes in the back, so the chimney goes up. So sometimes if you like install a wood stove into a chimney and into like a regular fireplace, You'll put the wood stove in front of the fireplace, and the pipe will go sort of at a right angle up into the fireplace, and that's how it works.
Agrees that community has fallen apart. We talk with so much nostalgia of this era where communities got together, neighbors knew each other, people had dinner together, went bowling together. There was an age where that existed, but often what's forgotten in that conversation
is that bowling alleys still exist and you can invite your friends over for dinner whenever you want, and that's the reason why we don't. Is because we have a whole bunch of we are worked to death. Graham, we are worked to death, and we live in a society that treats every neighbor as an enemy to be competed against, and competition as if it's a positive aspect of freedom. We celebrate people, weirdly, for working hard, not smart. Because we have no faith in the future. Because leisure and freedom from labor is what allows you to make new things and do new things. But we've lost a belief in that even as a possibility. So now we just celebrate people just spending all of their time in the mines until they're so tired that they can't do anything else. And we say, look at that man. Look at how much work he's doing. Look how hard he's working. He's so cool. But he's not doing anything. And his labor's being taken by somebody else. And he's boring because he doesn't read anything. And he doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't talk to anybody. So his wife divorces him and his kids hate him. That's what you want to reify? Okay.
It existed when we had unions.
No, you had unions when it existed. Unions did not produce that. Those produced unions. You have unions right now. Why are the unions weak? The unions are weak right now because community broke down, and there are a whole lot of rich people who have more in common with the ruling elites, because they are the ruling elites, who have no interest fundamentally in the plight of the working class, except insofar as they can maintain their golden goose.
It existed when somebody with one good job could raise a whole family on one income in a household.
I'm sorry. Are you suggesting that it existed when there were... wait a minute. Wait a minute. What? What? What are you... Wait, so you're nostalgic for... Wait, hang on. Slow down, cowboy. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking... That never happened. That not only never happened... There would be no need for unions if that was the case. What you're talking about is an apparatus of capture. Some people had that. They got touted around as the model, and everybody else abandoned community. This is his whole shtick. He's meeting the average worker where they're at. That's why he's saying incorrect things. The average worker holds lots of wrong beliefs. That makes sense. Yeah, but here's the problem, though. The average worker doesn't believe that... Like, I'm sorry. Everybody who says he's appealing to the average worker is not an average worker. Have you noticed this? It's always weirdos like me who are playing some 5D chess game, or what they think is a 5D chess game. It's like, look, you don't understand, okay? There are dumb people out there in the mines. We need a bearded man in the front of a fireplace with a bear pelt to tell them what... Nobody is like this. You know what workers do? They play Nintendo and they watch on their phones like the bougies do. Because it's 2026. And they aren't living in shacks in the woods roasting meat over a fire.
That's an era in which you can spend time with your family.
No, it's not. That's why the trope of the one-man breadwinner is of the guy who works all the time, is distant from his wife, who is a suffragette, who he is contemptful of, and who hates, and his wife hates him. That's the meme. No, Graham, that's wrong.
Spend time with your community, and people don't feel...
You know who spent time with their community? Women. because women were stuck in the household, and women had no rights, and women had a normalized culture of being allowed to be beaten by their husbands to the point where it even appeared in advertisements for products. So women who, when men were working themselves to death as a different type of slave, women would talk with each other and organize with each other. They would be integrated into schools. They would meet each other at shops. They would meet each other like that. That's how that actually happened. He's describing a situation that never existed because the condition of men being able to afford to pay for a house and for a family by themselves was one in which women were relegated to a domestic hell and men had no time. But they were paid for it in this weird cultural prestige that we assigned to people who exhibited a profound satisfaction with drudgery. And we created that profound satisfaction with drudgery by the concept of masculinity. This is what men do. A man provides, as Gus Fring says.
Alienated and lonely. And today, a lot of young men, and a lot of just people in general, are taken in by the story that they need to impose their will on other people to feel good.
Is that why you joined Constellus?
That they need to take things from other people to get what they deserve. That there's a finite amount of time and resources and money.
There is, obviously. What? I'm sorry. What? There's a finite amount of everything. What are you talking about?
And attention out there that you have.
There is a finite amount of attention. That's why we talk about the attention economy. What are you talking about?
To work against other people to get it. And it's not true.
But that's actually literally your job, Graham. What are you talking about? That's literally your job, Graham. What are you talking about?
Society that we need to build, where community matters again, is a society in which people have time.
Okay, I agree with that. Okay, everything else, we're gonna forget this. We're gonna let him cook. We're gonna let the bearded man cook on his wood stove. Okay, give him a minute.
In which people have the ability to, at the end of their workday, still have the energy and the time to go out and meet their neighbors.
Good.
Join a group. Create art.
Cool. You need to vote for me so you have time to meet your neighbors. No, you need to vote for him because the alternative is a fascist. You have time to go meet your neighbors right now. Go meet your neighbors when you're tired. Sorry. Once upon a time, you lived in a world in which predators in the wild would hunt you down and you'd have to collaborate, exhausted and starving in order to survive. You are in such a situation again. Go meet your neighbors when you're tired. Pass out when you're there. Okay? Go meet your neighbors when you're tired. Build that community. Build some kind of connection. Start mattering to each other, because otherwise, what you got is you get to vote for Graham Plattner to go in office and to be a regular Democrat, and to then down the line say, look, I'm sorry, the left was too crazy, okay? I got suckered in, I got confused. I want to meet you guys in the middle. We need to understand where you're coming from. As they're shooting mothers and nurses in the street. I really don't like these people.
Do theater. Have a hobby.
Do theater, what?
And the time to go out and meet their neighbors. Join a group. Create art. Do theater.
Very well. I do not know. I am sure I am none such. Do not weep, alas the day. Thank you, Graham.
Have a hobby. Join a running group. Join a hiking group. Join any kind of group. But right now, people can't do it and they feel alienated because of it.
You know what's crazy? People actually do theater still. I know Graham probably doesn't know this because I doubt he's a theater guy. I just don't get that vibe. Maybe he is. I don't know. I shouldn't stereotype. But people do theater. People do theater casually. Did you know that? People do theater for no money. Shakespeare by the Sea. There's a Shakespeare by the Sea thing here. People just volunteer to do roles. There's selection, of course. They don't let people who can't act in, but there's... I'm not opposed to the message. It's the messenger that's a little bit funny.
We need to be very clear about where that alienation comes from, because it isn't moral, and in many ways it isn't even cultural. It's economic.
Okay, here's the thing. I hate you, Brooks. I'm mad at you. But here's the thing. Brooks is kind of right. Here's the deal. I've been talking a lot about this guy's past. You aren't actually your past. And this is actually a weird thing for people to sort of, like, figure out. The right wing doesn't actually adhere to any values because there is no model person or project that sort of sits above them, that governs what they do, like sort of a Kantian, what's that word? Help me out here. It's something to do with ontological, but like a laser down that sort of justify, like a laser like firing down that points the way for them, that determines their behavior. That's the case for all of you, and that's the case for Graham. So here's the thing. Graham sucks as a human, like he genuinely does. But he doesn't suck as a human because of some essential core to Graham. He sucks as a human because he, like all of us, is a nexus of flows that produces that monstrosity. However, there are ways to engage with people that alter the nature of those flows. I don't know if you can in the case of this particular person, but long story short, you vote for the asshole with the fireplace and the copy of David Graeber's The Dawn of Everything on the corner of that shelf to appeal to the anarchists. Because here's the thing. If you manage to trick this guy into thinking that you liking him makes him powerful and happy, suddenly he becomes like you. Because that's why everybody does everything. Is what it is. You examine yourself far down enough, you will find the exact same thing. What you will also find is that the presumptions that cast that relationship as a negative thing are based on the same principle. Do with that what you will. I don't actually hate this guy, to be clear. I hate everything about this production, which is different.
It's an economic structure that does not give us time.
Does he have a fireplace for a fire? He has a wood stove in front of a fireplace. That's legitimate. So here's the deal, okay? A fireplace is just a hole in the wall with a chimney on top that you burn wood in. A wood stove is a metal thing usually on legs that has a top and a bottom and it has a pipe, okay? If you want a wood stove in your house, and there are reasons to want one, among other things, it doesn't let smoke out like a fireplace does. Then how you place that into a house with a fireplace is you put it in front of the fireplace and you put a pipe through the fireplace up the chimney. That's how it works. Chat keeps self-reporting for never having lived somewhere that's cold. Yeah, no, you like imagine like has anyone ever actually had to use an actual fireplace, by the way? Unless you have really high quality skinned wood, it smokes. Do you want to fill your home with smoke? Probably not. You use a wood stove. The wood stove is very efficient at heating a wide space very quickly. That's probably a big room. It's probably a very big room, actually. But because it's a wood stove, there's no smoke. Fireplaces aren't good for heating. Fireplaces can heat. Fireplaces can heat. They just don't contain the heat in one spot.
To connect with each other, and from that comes resentment. And we need to rebuild a society in which we support each other and give each other time. And that is only going to come in a society where healthcare is taken care of.
See, here's the thing. This is very cynical, but this should make you happy. It should be a good thing that the cynical move being interpreted by major Democratic runners, and I think he will be a major Democratic runner because he has charisma. This guy has charisma. It should be encouraging to you that this whole togetherness message is the strategy that certain Democrats are taking. That's a good thing. That means that they are identifying that position as one with power.
Where housing is treated as a human right, and where hard work means that you can live a good life, and that you get the full benefits and the full value of the labor and the work that you do. But until we build that...
Now, see, that is a false promise. That's not going to happen. But I was with you till that point.
Society, people will continue to be alienated. And so I say to a lot of the Democrats out there, the more establishment people who for years have been trying to figure out how do we reconnect with men, I'll tell you, I think the answer's in union halls. I think the answer's in solidarity.
Okay, but how do you get people to union halls, Graham? That's your problem. You're putting the cart before the horse. And then imagining that there's another horse behind the cart, but it's the same horse as before.
I think the answer is in an economic system that gives people time to be with each other. That's the answer to loneliness, and that's the...
You're gonna end capitalism, are you? That's what you're running on? Because that's what you got to do.
The answer to frustration and aggrievement.
Yeah, but you're not going to do that. You're not going to do it. You can't, for what and with what? That's not your values. But whatever. Here's the thing. As much as I really dislike this guy, vote for that. Vote for that. Cause he is an empty shell. He's an empty shell that right now, for this brief moment in time, has pouring into it stuff that helps you. That's it. So yeah, he is missing a major step. By the way, is correct here? I wouldn't go that far, Brooks. He's correct in terms of the prescription. In terms of the description of the dynamic, he's very, very off. But whatever. Who cares? You're not voting for him because he's Karl Marx.